Are you missing critical warning signs that could help you prepare for and potentially extend the life of someone you love? In the next 15 minutes, you'll discover 5 subtle but scientifically backed signs that medical professionals use to identify when an elderly person may be entering their final year, knowledge that could help you provide better care and make precious time count. The third sign is so commonly overlooked that even experienced nurses miss it, yet it's one of the most reliable indicators according to recent geriatric research. Scarlett, a 74-year-old retired teacher from Texas, seemed perfectly healthy to her family last spring, but her son Michael noticed small changes: Scarlett sleeping more, eating less, and losing interest in her beloved quilting. When Michael mentioned these changes to Scarlett's doctor, they discovered she was showing early signs that helped them focus on quality time and proper care during her final months. Sign 1. Significant changes in sleep patterns. When an elderly person suddenly starts sleeping 12 to 14 hours a day or experiences dramatic insomnia, their body may be signaling declining organ function. This isn't just about feeling tired after a busy day or needing an afternoon nap. We're talking about fundamental changes in sleep architecture that indicate the body's systems are beginning to slow down. Research from Johns Hopkins Geriatric Medicine Department shows that dramatic sleep pattern changes often precede other more obvious signs of decline by several months, making this one of the earliest warning signals families can observe. The study followed over 2,000 elderly patients for 3 years and found that 78% of those who experienced dramatic sleep changes showed other decline indicators within 6 months. Sleep serves as a window into overall health, especially for seniors. When the body begins to prepare for end-of-life processes, it naturally conserves energy by increasing sleep duration and depth. However, paradoxically, some elderly individuals experience the opposite effect: severe insomnia that leaves them restless and anxious during nighttime hours. The National Institute on Aging has documented that these sleep disruptions often correlate with changes in hormone production, specifically decreased melatonin and altered cortisol cycles, which can indicate that internal biological clocks are becoming dysregulated. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, a sleep specialist at UCLA Medical Center, explains that the circadian rhythm becomes increasingly fragmented as multiple body systems begin to slow down, creating irregular sleep-wake cycles that can confuse family members who don't understand the underlying biological changes. Consider Harold, an 82-year-old former construction worker who used to wake at 5:30 a.m. every morning for 40 years. Suddenly, Harold began sleeping until 11 a.m. and taking multiple naps throughout the day, accumulating nearly 16 hours of sleep daily. His daughter initially dismissed this as normal aging, but when she tracked his sleep patterns for 2 weeks, she realized Harold was sleeping twice as much as he had just 6 months earlier. What made this particularly concerning was that Harold wasn't just sleeping more, he was sleeping more deeply and seemed difficult to wake, even for meals or bathroom breaks. The consequence of missing this sign is significant because sleep changes often precede more serious health events. When families dismiss increased sleep as simple laziness or ignore chronic insomnia as just aging, they lose precious opportunities to address underlying health issues and adjust care plans accordingly. Medical professionals emphasize that dramatic sleep changes deserve immediate attention, not casual observation. Sleep disruptions can indicate heart problems, respiratory issues, medication interactions, or neurological changes that require medical evaluation. Track sleep patterns for 2 weeks and discuss findings with their doctor during the next appointment, noting specific times of sleep and wake, quality of sleep, and any changes in sleep environment preferences. Don't wait. Start monitoring sleep changes today. Sign 2. gradual but persistent loss of appetite. Have you noticed your loved one picking at their food or skipping meals they once enjoyed? This gradual decline in appetite represents more than just changing taste preferences or decreased activity levels. Mayo Clinic studies on end-of-life appetite changes demonstrate that persistent loss of appetite often indicates the body's metabolism is slowing down significantly, and digestive systems are becoming less efficient at processing nutrients. When elderly individuals consistently consume less than half their normal food intake for several weeks, this signals that their body's nutritional needs are changing in ways that suggest approaching end-of-life processes. The research, conducted over 5 years with 1,500 elderly participants, found that appetite loss was one of the most consistent early indicators of declining health status. The medical community recognizes appetite loss as one of the most reliable indicators of declining health in seniors. Dr. Sarah Chen, a geriatrician at Stanford Medical Center, explains that appetite loss isn't just about feeling less hungry, it's about the body's fundamental relationship with food changing. The digestive system requires significant energy to process meals, and when multiple organ systems begin to slow down, the body naturally reduces its demand for food. This biological response helps conserve energy for essential functions like circulation, breathing, and brain activity. Additionally, the sense of taste and smell often diminish significantly during this period, making food less appealing and further contributing to decreased appetite. Changes in digestive hormones, particularly decreased production of ghrelin, the hunger hormone, also play a crucial role in this process. Think about Vivian, a 79-year-old grandmother who had prepared elaborate Sunday dinners for her family for decades. Over the course of 3 months, Vivian gradually stopped cooking these meals, then began eating only small portions of foods others prepared for her. Her family noticed she would take a few bites of her favorite lasagna and push the plate away, claiming she was full. What seemed like pickiness was actually her body's way of indicating that her digestive system was struggling to process normal amounts of food. Vivian also mentioned that food didn't taste the same anymore, and even her favorite chocolate cake seemed flavorless and unappealing. Ignoring appetite loss can lead to rapid malnutrition and weakness, creating a downward spiral that accelerates physical decline. When seniors don't consume adequate nutrients, their immune systems weaken, their muscle mass decreases, and their cognitive function can deteriorate more quickly. Medical professionals warn that malnutrition in elderly individuals often leads to increased falls, infections, and hospitalization. Protein deficiency becomes particularly problematic as it accelerates muscle loss and reduces the body's ability to heal wounds or fight infections. Vitamin deficiencies can also develop rapidly, affecting everything from bone health to mental clarity. Offer smaller, nutrient-dense meals throughout the day and carefully note eating patterns to discuss with healthcare providers, focusing on foods that are easy to digest and high in essential nutrients. Track their eating habits, starting with their very next meal. Sign 3. Subtle social withdrawal. When elderly people gradually stop calling friends, attending church, or participating in activities they once loved, it often indicates emotional preparation for end of life. This withdrawal isn't depression in the traditional sense, though it can appear similar to family members who don't understand the distinction. Harvard Medical School research on social behavior patterns reveals that this type of social withdrawal represents a natural psychological process where individuals begin to turn inward, focusing less on external relationships and more on internal reflection and acceptance. This process, called social disengagement, often occurs months before any physical symptoms become apparent. The landmark study, published in the Journal of Gerontology, followed 3,000 elderly individuals for 7 years and found that 65% of those who experienced this type of social withdrawal were in their final 2 years of life. The difference between depression-related withdrawal and end-of-life social withdrawal lies in the individual's emotional state and reasoning. People experiencing depression typically feel sad, hopeless, or overwhelmed by social situations. In contrast, those experiencing end-of-life social withdrawal often express contentment with solitude and seem peaceful about their reduced social engagement. They may describe feeling tired of social obligations or express that social activities feel less meaningful than they once did. Gerontologists recognize this as a normal part of the life completion process, where individuals naturally begin to detach from worldly concerns and relationships. Dr. Elizabeth Thompson, a psychologist specializing in end-of-life care, explains that this withdrawal often includes a shift in priorities, where social activities that once brought joy now feel like unnecessary energy expenditure. Consider Raymond, an 85-year-old retired postal worker who had been the social coordinator for his apartment complex for 8 years. Raymond organized weekly card games, holiday parties, and group outings to local restaurants. Over several months, Raymond gradually stopped organizing these events, then stopped attending them altogether. When neighbors asked why, Raymond simply said he preferred staying home and didn't feel like socializing anymore. His family initially worried about depression, but Raymond seemed content and peaceful, just less interested in social engagement. He spent more time reading, listening to music, and reflecting on his life experiences, showing no signs of sadness or distress about his reduced social activity. Social isolation can accelerate physical and mental decline, even when it begins as a natural process. When elderly individuals completely withdraw from social contact, they lose important sources of mental stimulation, physical activity, and emotional support. Research from the University of California shows that complete social isolation can accelerate cognitive decline and increase the risk of falls and accidents. However, it's important to distinguish between harmful isolation and natural social disengagement. The key is maintaining some level of meaningful social connection while respecting their need for increased solitude. Gently encourage one meaningful social activity per week and offer to participate alongside them to make it less overwhelming, focusing on activities that require minimal energy but provide emotional connection. Reach out to them today. Don't let another week pass without social connection. Sign 4. Increased confusion or memory issues. Are you noticing more frequent moments of confusion even in someone without dementia? This increased confusion represents more than normal age-related memory changes or occasional forgetfulness. We're discussing noticeable increases in disorientation, difficulty following conversations, trouble remembering familiar names and faces, or getting lost in previously familiar environments. CDC guidelines on cognitive changes in elderly populations emphasize that sudden increases in confusion often indicate decreased blood flow to the brain, changes in brain chemistry, or the effects of multiple medications interacting in ways that affect cognitive function. Their comprehensive study of 4,000 elderly individuals found that 72% of those experiencing sudden cognitive changes had underlying health conditions that required medical attention. Medical professionals distinguish between normal, aging-related memory changes and confusion that signals declining health. Normal aging might involve occasionally forgetting where you placed your keys or needing a moment to recall someone's name. However, confusion that signals declining health involves more fundamental disorientation, forgetting how to perform familiar tasks, not recognizing familiar places, or becoming confused about time and date on a regular basis. Neurologists explain that this type of confusion, often results from decreased oxygen delivery to brain cells, changes in neurotransmitter production, or the cumulative effects of multiple health conditions affecting brain function. Dr. Amanda Foster, a neurologist at Cleveland Clinic, notes that this confusion often fluctuates throughout the day, with periods of clarity followed by episodes of significant disorientation. Take the example of Betty, a 73-year-old former librarian who had always been sharp and organized. Betty began having trouble following the plot of television shows she had watched for years, frequently asking the same questions multiple times during conversations and getting confused about whether she had eaten breakfast or taken her daily vitamins. Her daughter initially attributed these changes to stress, but when Betty got lost driving to the grocery store she had visited weekly for 15 years, the family realized these weren't normal memory lapses. Betty also began having difficulty managing her checkbook, a task she had performed effortlessly for decades, and sometimes forgot the names of her grandchildren during phone conversations. Confusion can indicate declining brain function that affects safety and quality of life. When elderly individuals experience increased confusion, they become more susceptible to accidents, falls, financial exploitation, and poor judgment about their personal safety. Medical professionals warn that untreated confusion can lead to dangerous situations like leaving stoves on, forgetting to lock doors, or making poor decisions about personal care. Confusion can also indicate treatable conditions like urinary tract infections, medication interactions, or vitamin deficiencies that, when addressed, can significantly improve cognitive function. Create simple daily routines with written reminders and consider a comprehensive medical evaluation to identify any treatable causes of confusion, including blood work to check for infections, vitamin levels, and medication interactions. Schedule that doctor's appointment this week. Sign 5. Physical weakness and frequent falls. When an elderly person experiences unexplained weakness, frequent falls, or difficulty with tasks they previously managed easily, multiple body systems may be declining simultaneously. This isn't about the normal decrease in strength that occurs with aging, but rather a noticeable and progressive loss of physical capability that affects daily activities. American Geriatric Society Fall Prevention research indicates that unexplained weakness often signals declining cardiovascular function, muscle mass loss, changes in blood pressure regulation, or neurological changes that affect balance and coordination. Their extensive research, involving 5,000 elderly participants over 8 years, found that sudden weakness was predictive of significant health events within 12 months in 82% of cases. Physical weakness in elderly individuals often presents as a cascade of related problems. Muscle weakness leads to decreased mobility, which leads to further muscle loss through disuse, creating a cycle that accelerates physical decline. Additionally, weakness affects balance and coordination, increasing fall risk significantly. The National Institute on Aging reports that falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in people over 65, and that strength loss often precedes falls by several weeks or months. This weakness can also affect the ability to recover from illnesses, respond to emergencies, or maintain independence in daily activities. Dr. Jennifer Park, a geriatrician at Johns Hopkins, explains that this type of weakness often indicates declining heart function as the cardiovascular system struggles to deliver adequate oxygen and nutrients to muscles throughout the body. Consider the case of Eugene, a 76-year-old former mechanic who had always been proud of his physical strength and independence. Eugene began having difficulty opening jars, struggled to get up from his favorite armchair without assistance, and fell twice in 1 month, once while walking to the mailbox and once while getting out of bed. His wife initially thought Eugene was just having a bad few weeks, but when he couldn't lift a bag of groceries he had easily carried just months before, they realized his physical capabilities were declining rapidly. Eugene also mentioned feeling dizzy when standing up quickly and noticed that his legs felt unsteady when walking, particularly in the evenings. Falls and physical weakness can lead to serious injuries that accelerate overall decline and loss of independence. When elderly individuals fall, they often sustain fractures, head injuries, or other trauma that requires hospitalization and lengthy recovery periods. Even minor falls can create fear and anxiety that leads to further activity restriction, creating a cycle of decreasing mobility and increasing weakness. Medical professionals emphasize that fall prevention and strength maintenance are crucial for preserving quality of life and independence in elderly individuals. Physical weakness can also indicate underlying conditions like heart problems, anemia, or medication side effects that require medical attention. Remove fall hazards from their living environment. Ensure they have proper support devices like grab bars and railings, and consider physical therapy evaluation to address strength and balance issues while investigating potential medical causes of weakness. Make their homes safer today. Every day matters. These 5 signs: dramatic sleep changes, appetite loss, social withdrawal, increased confusion, and physical weakness serve as your early warning system for recognizing when an elderly loved one may be entering their final year. Recognizing these signs doesn't mean giving up hope or preparing for the worst. Instead, it means you can focus on quality time, ensure proper medical care, and make sure your loved one feels supported and comfortable. When you know what to look for, you can make every remaining day count and ensure your loved one receives the care and attention they deserve during this important time. Have you noticed any of these signs in an elderly loved one? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story could help another family recognize these important warning signs. If this information could help someone in your family or community, please share this video. Knowledge like this can make a real difference in how we care for our elderly loved ones. And if you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more practical health information designed specifically for seniors.